Hold up. Wait a minute.
This is Carla Renata, aka the Curvy Critic, and I shoot straight from the hip.
Yeah, you know I'm always shooting straight from the hip.
Let's take a trip around the curve.
I know y'all couldn't hear me. I know my mic is muted. Just what is happening? I went to a screening earlier today, so my timing is a little off. But anyway, I am Carla Renata. You have tuned into yet another episode of The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata on yet another Sunday with me and my shenanigans. I have a special guest coming to the stage, and without further ado, I don't want to hold her, but let me tell you who she is. Her name is Jeanell English, and she is a former Academy executive. We'll talk about that briefly. But now she has a whole nother organization, and I'll let her tell you about that. But without further ado, I'm bringing to the stage Jeanell English. Let me get the right thing up so that she can come in properly. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hello, hello. Happy Sunday. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. The sun is shining. It's been a beautiful day. I'm just getting over a cold, so my voice feels a little raspy, which I actually think is kind of hot. So we'll rock with it.
Welcome to my world. I sound like that all the time.
I love it. I
Just
love
raspy
it.
and wrong.
You know what though? There's nothing wrong about it. I actually think I kind of like it, and I'm gonna adopt this as my regular voice going forward. It's
Okay,
a vibe.
you just gonna have a put on voice.
I am. I think it, like, sets the right mood for all times, places, spaces, so why not, Carla? Why not? Why not?
That
I
is
love it.
hilarious. It's hilarious. Oh my God. So I've been trying to get Janelle here for forever. Mostly because I just wanted to talk movies with her. We were at a premiere for I think it was One Love, the Bob Marley movie.
Yes.
And we were talking, and I was like, we should take this conversation to my podcast and have this online and discuss some real things. So I asked her to pick three movies that she liked that we could like get into, and they happen to be three movies that I really like too. So the first one that we'll get into will be Baps. But before we get into that, I want you to just tell folks a little bit about your background.
Yes, a little bit about me. Okay, I love movies. I love books. I've been like an avid reader my entire life. And I've been blessed to be able to have that be a part of my career. I spent a good chunk of my career, though, Carla, like living and working outside of the US before I ended up moving back stateside to take a job on at the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. And it was there I really stepped into a role to lead all of the inclusion, equity, accessibility efforts for the organization. So it had been, a few years since Oscar So White. It was a really cool opportunity for me to step into the film world more formally after, playing around in entertainment in Europe for almost 8 years.
Mm.
Um, so that was a beautiful and challenging experience. It gave me a lot of really good insight into the greatest opportunities to promote change and the type of progress I was looking for. So when I left last summer, my role at the Academy, I founded my own company, and I now have the privilege of working across the industry and consulting on different projects and films and things that I love. But more importantly, I get to really develop IP. I have a publishing company as well that I've launched, and have just added a business partner to that space. So I'm really excited to be investing more formally in IP ownership amongst communities of color and storytelling and books. That's really the foundation of a lot of this industry. So that's a little bit about me, but yeah, it's good to be here.
Yay! I love that because I
Yes.
also, with the few conversations that we've had, I know that you're super, super savvy. And I just wanted to make sure that we put some light on what you're working on before we get into these movies.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I mean, books are the foundation of movies, so I'm just excited to be still working in this space with a very intentional purpose. So yeah, it's cool. It's a vibe. I love it.
It is a vibe. And you know what's really interesting about what you said about books? There's another journalist that I know named Kristen Lopez, who is formerly of the Rap. She
Mhm.
writes books, not right. She wrote a book called "But Have You Read the Book?"
Oh,
About
yep.
adapted from books. So yeah, I just wanted to bring it up to say
I love that.
you getting some applause and flowers, girl. I just want to show it to you real
Yay.
quick.
Oh,
Look,
I love it.
flowers all over the place. I
Oh,
love it.
I love it. I love to see it. That's cool. I was like, "Ooh, this is a fun feature. Look at all
You
the
can see it?
flowers coming in." I saw it. I was like, "That's cute. I've never seen that."
Yes, yes,
I
always,
love it.
always. So, and that's one of my fellow film critics. He's fabulous. But insti-hoo, I digress. Let's get into Baps. Now, I want to know. So, Baps is directed by Robert Townsend, and it's the screenplay was written by Troy Bayer. Now, if people don't know who Troy Bayer actually is an actress who was recurring. She might have been recurring or being a series regular on Dynasty, where she played Diane Carroll's daughter.
Wow. Oh my
Right.
goodness.
Right. So
Wow.
she was doing that at the time that she wrote Baps because it
Oh
was
my
during
goodness.
a time where you weren't seeing a whole lot of Black films. You definitely weren't seeing a
Wow.
whole lot of films written by us,
Yeah.
especially Black women, not like you do now. And so she was like, I'm going to write this movie and it's going to be fun. And I'm going to have Halle Berry and Natalie Desselle and Martin Landau in it. And we just going to, and Pierre, the stand-up comedian Pierre, we just going to have a good time. The thing I want to point out about it is that for me personally, this is one of Halle Berry's best movies because
I agree.
don't you think so? Because Halle,
Yes.
people are like, oh my God, the Academy Award winner. No, Halle Berry is a comedic beast. And I don't know why she doesn't do more stuff that's funny because I think she's hilarious.
I couldn't agree more. I was literally having this conversation with some of my friends last night, and they were like, "Oh, but what about Monsters?" I was like, "No, y'all, like this character to me, that was like acting. It was fun. It was a different version of her. I really, I couldn't agree more, Carla. It's crazy that you just said that."
Of course, because I'm just like, what? Honey, the scene where they where they are standing out. First of all, let's say what BAPS is. BAPS is an
Yes.
acronym for Black American Princess. That's what BAPS is. And
Mhm.
the gist for people that have never seen this movie, who I can't imagine you haven't, I'll just give you a little brief synopsis of it. It's these two waitresses, Niecy and Mickey, respectively played by Hallie and the late Natalie Desselle. They decide to fly to LA for a music video audition in order to raise money for their dream project, which is a soul food dining hair salon. Are you with me so far? I know that sounds crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually find these ladies on the estate of Mr. Blakemore, who's played by Martin Landau. He's an elderly millionaire, and despite their cultural differences, Niecy and Mickey form a close bond with Mr. Blakemore and his butler, who they kept calling Alfred, which made me laugh out loud. Richardson. So this is the scene. This is the scene that made me laugh out loud. There was a scene where they are standing outside the venue where they're auditioning.
Yes, the Heavy D video, I think it was, or what yes,
Yes,
yes.
the Heavy D video, and they are out there clowning,
Mhm.
clowning, and I'm just like, I can't. It may with the hair, they have this hair
Oh
that's
my
like
goodness.
out to here. That was during the time
Yep.
that women were styling their hair in like these big fan styles. Remember Patti LaBelle with her hair like that?
It was beautiful though. I was like the artistry of this. Can we just like reflect on that? Like,
Yeah, yeah. Go
yeah.
ahead.
No, shout out to the hairstylist because you know what, makeup artists, hairstylists, I don't think they get enough love in this industry. But in that film in particular, where hair was like such a big part of the film, it was great. It was great. And I think Halle Berry looked great blonde as well. Like it was like they had a crown. And for me, like seeing them come to LA with these crowns that they created with their hair, it was also just like a beautiful way to start this story.
It really was a beautiful way to start the story. And then the other thing that made me, there were two other scenes that made me holler and laugh out loud. The other one was the scene in the bathroom with the bidet.
Oh, yeah.
Water was just going everywhere. And then the other scene is when they go to the restaurant and they run into Leon.
Yes.
And if you are a Black woman anywhere in the world, back then, Leon was the ish. People would lose their mind over some Leon. 'Cause at this point, he had been in the Five Heartbeats and a couple
Mhm.
of other things, and people were just all about some Leon. Those three scenes made me holler out loud. What are some of your favorite ones?
Ooh, I couldn't agree more. The bidet one, because I will like acknowledge I still struggle with bidets to this day. So
Can't do it.
I
I can't mess with it. I can't do it. I can't do
I
it.
know, I
Can't do
know.
it.
It's like it's crazy. I mean, there's so many really like fun scenes. I think there was one where they like interrupt this burglary, right? And you know, they got to fight. They demonstrate those fight skills. And as someone who loves to watch a little boxing and in my head I think I'm like a street fighter, I am really not. But I loved that scene where they were like, "All right, let's fight. I'm gonna hit you like Tyson. He wouldn't do it like this. I'm gonna do it like this." Like that scene, loved it, loved it. And then there's also for me, I the endearing moments of
Yeah.
them really like bonding and showing up and just being like genuine humans when they could have really played into this con of taking money from, you know, this old dude. It became a lot more personal and you started to see what I think makes Black women so incredible is just our ability to love and to uplift and support, you know, those who become a part of our family. And that like that was the endearing part where I was like, ah, like, the writing of this was beautiful, it was fun, it was funny, but I think it honored who Black women are in a really kind of thoughtful way, and that excites me, and we need more of that.
Yeah, I was talking to Troy. Troy and I are friends, and I was talking to Troy about this when we initially met. I had interviewed her for something, and I was talking to her about
Mm,
this. I'm like, "What made you want to do? What made first of all, what made you want to write a movie? What made you want to, deal with like what?" And she
yeah.
said that her and Robert Townsend had worked together on the Five Heartbeats. Um,
Mm,
played. I can't remember the name of her character, but she was one of the lead characters, female wise, in the Five
mhm,
Heartbeats, and there weren't that many of them, but she was one of them. She played Michael, the guy who was the lead singer who kind of fell on hard times. She played his wife,
mm,
Baby Doll. She played Baby Doll. That was the name of her character. She played Baby Doll. But I asked her, I said, why would you want to do this? And she said that she um, was mentored by Robert, that he was very helpful to her in that process, and that she just wanted to see stories reflect us as we are. Like there are people
yeah,
out there like Niecy and Mickey. There are people
yeah,
out there like a Mr. Blakemore. There are people out there like his butler. There are people out there like the guy that she fell in love with who was
yeah,
really just using her. There are people in the world like that. But we saw them in a very farcical situation, but it was funny, it was
yeah,
heartfelt, it was all the things. And then at the end of the movie, we see them have their dreams come true. And another moment that I liked was when um Niecy finally fessed up. But she was trying to fess up that she
yeah.
wasn't really in love with his wife's daughter or
Yeah,
granddaughter, but she tried to fess up, and he was like, "I don't even want to hear it. It doesn't make any
yep,
difference to me." I was
yeah.
like,
And he knew, like, ultimately the whole time. That's what's like just so crazy to me. I also love the idea, like, as someone who moved to LA in my adult life with this like real ambitious dream of honestly changing entertainment, and we can talk about that another time. But you move out here and it feels like it's this land of opportunity and you can do anything. And I love reliving and feeling that through a film, like that same sort of energy and excitement. I don't have a billionaire, backer for my ambitions yet, and
Neither
any
do I.
investors out there, let's talk. But right, we can
I
work
don't
on
think a
that,
whole lot
girl.
of us do.
No, we can work on that one day, you never know. But it's just something really beautiful about, we as Black women can have these big ambitious dreams and, to show up in a city and find a way to make it possible without losing yourself along the way. And honestly, it's your goodness, it's your grace, it's your consistency that gives you that opportunity. Like, how beautiful of a message is that? That,
Absolutely.
it's possible. It's all possible.
Absolutely. Yes. So we're going to segue from that into love and basketball, because let me just tell you something. Love and
Mm.
basketball is, I don't know any Black person that don't love and basketball. I'm just
I
saying.
don't either. Yes. Yeah.
No, any Black person alive is like, I hate love and basketball. Like, who would say
It's
that?
not possible. It's not
It's
possible.
not even possible.
No,
I'm just gonna
no.
get folks to look for the two people that may have not seen this movie. Let me just tell you, it's directed by Gina Prince Blythewood. And if you're not familiar with her and you're not familiar with Love and Basketball, then you might be familiar with The Woman King, which she also directed and wrote a few years back with Viola Davis and a huge, wonderful cast of African
Mhm.
American women starring in it. But as far as Love and Basketball is concerned, it's got Sanaa Lathan in it. It's got Omar Epps. It's got Debbie Morgan. It's got Dennis Haysbert. It's got Regina Hall. And FYI, but and not did I say Alfred Woodard? Yeah. And FYI, but not really. Alfred Woodard, Sanaa Lathan, and Regina Hall would star with each other in another film for Tyler Perry where they played mother and sisters
So
again.
crazy.
I know
So
it was like
crazy.
for a minute they were like the mother-daughter team. It was
I
hilarious.
love it. It's so cool.
It's hilarious. But this is the gist of that film. So Monica, who's played by Sanaa Lathan, and Quincy, played by Omar Epps, are two childhood friends who aspire to become professional basketball players. Quincy's father, Zeke, who was like a huge basketball player, played by Dennis Haysbert, he played for the LA Clippers. He was a natural talent and a board leader. Monica is ferociously competitive, but
Mhm.
sometimes becomes a little overly emotional on the court, as you see throughout the course of the film. Over the years, the two of them fall for each other, but their separate paths to basketball stardom threaten to pull them apart. This is what I liked about this film in particular. Gina drew from her own life as a former college
Mhm.
basketball player for the creation of this film. So she had personal antidotes that she kind of twisted and formed and formulated to make this story work. I also love the fact that when they were auditioning for this film, Sanaa and Omar were dating. By the time
I
they
did not know that.
Sanaa and Omar were dating, by the time they were shooting the film, they had broken up.
Oh, awkward.
So right. So imagine this flash is going in my eyes right.
Uh,
So imagine trying to shoot a film with your ex-boyfriend and pretending like you're in love with him. Baby, shenanigans ensue. That's
wow.
all I'm saying.
Wow.
But
Wow.
yeah, I love those for that reason. And I also love it for the fact that it was almost like a precursor to the WNBA. Because
Mhm.
back then we couldn't imagine the WNBA being what it is now, right?
Oh,
It was
yeah.
she alluded to it back then. And I remember being over in Australia doing a show, and I met some sisters that were playing basketball over there because they would make more
Mhm.
money playing overseas
Yes.
than they would here in
Yep.
the States, because women they didn't take the sports world didn't take women seriously playing basketball here in the States. So they would go overseas to like Italy and Germany and Spain and play ball over there. So I was like, okay,
Oh,
what's your
yeah.
experience?
We talk about basketball, my dog gets excited. He just ran up here like, "Ooh, are we
That's
talking love and
hilarious.
basketball?" I
was
think
like,
it's
what's
his
she doing?
favorite. No, he just showed up. He's like, "That's my favorite movie too, Mom. Hey, say
He's
hi,
like,
E.
that's my
Ellington."
kind of talk.
It is. That movie, I think one, I loved it because I played basketball in high school and I was a little bit of a tomboy and trying to like find my way. I didn't know what love was. I was so awkward. I like, pretended to date, but I didn't really. But that movie, it like showed me a version of love that I was like, I want that. If anything, I think, like, I can blame that movie for why I'm still single because I'm like, I don't have that feeling that Sanaa had yet, like, I want that. And you didn't often get to see, like, this full kind of love story in that way that felt, like, very innocent and, like, it felt innocent, yet natural, yet real, and also accessible. Like for this, Black girl who was athletic, who, was in different circles, etc., and
Right.
questioned, what love would look like for me. That movie, like, was the first introduction to a like real love story that felt accessible.
One of my favorite moments, you're absolutely right about everything you said. One of my favorite moments is when they would crawl out the window because their houses were
Yes.
houses, and they would crawl out of the window and just, support each other and help each other. And then
Mhm.
later on, there's that moment where now they're grown up. He's gonna get married to this
Mhm.
whatever she was. I was
Mhm.
not
Her and the other, yeah.
having her. He's now gonna get married, and she's watching through the window them pack up his stuff, and
Yes.
and like that wasn't even my story, and that hurt me to my core. I was like, oh no.
Right? Right. Right.
I
I
was
know.
so hurt. And then I also love that in addition to her addressing the whole complexities that come along with expectations and what's the word I'm looking for? And expectations and the pressure that comes along with that type of life, with somebody pursuing
Yeah.
a pro basketball life. There's expectations from yourself, there's expectations from your family, there's
Yeah.
expectations from your team, from your coach, from your friends. Like you're just getting it from all sides. And she very
Yeah.
eloquently shows all of that throughout the course of that
Yes.
film.
Oh my goodness. Truly, truly, truly. I think there's also something like there's so much pressure for being an athlete as well in terms of performing and the rigor. And I think, Sonata did such a great job of really embodying what it is to be a woman athlete as well, like mentally what you're going through, the discipline that it takes, the focus, the rigor, and also the criticism that you get for showing up in a certain way. I mean, oh my God, like we can look at women's sports today and women's basketball, collegiate basketball at that, and find like very parallel examples, which is crazy. And I think Sanaa like hadn't played ball before. So I also
No,
like commend her for putting forward this incredible role and doing it in a way that truly did represent so many women athletes, like, to channel that sort of energy to prepare the way that she prepared for the role. I have a lot of respect for it because it felt very real as someone who was living that, like, it felt very real.
let me ask you something. How long did you play ball? You played college ball?
Oh, no, I ran track in college, so I played through high school. I actually had a knee injury and I stopped playing basketball in high school, which was like devastating. But a lot of my girlfriends who I actually played with in high school still play to this day in the WNBA. And
Oh
so
wow.
I've like, exactly, I've seen their careers like through college, into the league, playing overseas, all the things. And I think again, that's part of what the affinity was to that film. And my girlfriends who we played together, this was the movie that we all bonded over. Like literally, these were the hairstyles. There was this dress that she had. I want a dress. I want that white dress that Monica had. Like it was literally just a conversation in, our community of like Black women ball players. So I ran track into college. I was always a better runner. My defense game was pretty cool. Offensively, I struggled a little, not gonna lie. But
You're like, I was on
yeah,
the
that was not
struggle
my
bus with
strength.
that.
I sure was, but I was fast, and that saved me a lot. But yeah, it was good memories, honestly, really good memories, really good times
Oh
for
my God.
sure.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
the other, I also wanted to talk about before we hop off this movie is the family dynamics. Because in addition to all of that, you have the
Yeah.
family dynamics in both families where one of the parents got shenanigans. In Monica's family,
Hmm.
her father had left.
Yep.
In Quincy's family, his father was fooling around on his mom.
Yep.
So there
Yep.
was, and so both of them are trying to navigate their dreams and their goals and their aspirations while dealing with this stuff at home. That's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. It
A
really
lot.
is. It really is. But I think like it was such an honest representation of what Black families can look like,
Yeah,
what they can feel like, that the complexities of being in a relationships and the dynamics, how that impacts your children even as well. And, what is a perfect quote unquote Black family? Does that exist? Are we, too caught up on like an image of something to really explore the challenges of honestly just being in a relationship and being in a Black relationship too? Like it's not always easy. But I think the way Gina really made that a core part of the story was beautiful. It was honest. It was hard to watch in some ways, but it was real. And I respect that a lot. I really do.
I respected it too. I agree with everything you said. We're like this on these movies. All right,
Truly.
girl. I told you I love movies. So let's get into a little Edward Scissorhands. So
Yes.
I think this movie more so than Nightmare at Christmas um, kind of put Tim Burton on the map. It's directed by Tim Burton and it stars Johnny Depp and Winona Ryder and Anthony Michael Hall, who's kind of villainous in this film. Diane
Mhm.
Wiest, who at the time she was like the go-to white actress, middle-aged white actress at the time. Like she was in everything, and then after she won the Oscar, she just kind of disappeared. I'm like, what is happening when people win these Oscars? A whole nother conversation.
That's a whole other combo.
And Alan Arkin. So if you happen to be one of the two people who have never seen Edward Scissorhands, let me give you the gist of this one. So, and I love that Vincent Price was in it. I'm from Missouri, and so is Vincent Price. So, I had a special
Ah,
affection for that. So, Vincent Price plays like this Frankensteinish type scientist, and he builds this animated human being with a gentle heart. Edward, who's played by Johnny Depp. And before he can finish assembling Edward completely, he dies unexpectedly, leaving Edward with a freakish appearance accentuated by these blade hands that he has instead of real hands, right? So, this loving suburbanite, her name is Peg, played by Diane Wiest, discovers that Edward discovers Edward and she takes him home to her neighborhood where he falls for her teenage daughter, played by Winona Ryder. And despite his kindness and his artistic talent, his hands make him an outcast. This is like I've always looked at this as like a sci-fi fantasy love story. And the
mhm.
biggest thing that I got from it when I watched it, it was a beautiful love story, and but it was
Yeah,
also a really telling telling story about bullying,
yeah,
and how people treat folks when they look different or they're not what people consider to be the norm. And
yeah,
this neighborhood that Edward happened to be taken to by Peg had a like 50-ish vibe to it. It was like,
mhm.
people were dressing in certain hairstyles and the neighborhoods were very clean and they were the same color and people were, it was very much that 50-ish kind of white people
Yeah,
50-ish vibe. And um but it also showed you that it's a film is a film with a child's heart, urging grown-ups to never stop dreaming and to always believe in yourself. And I love how the film starts with the older Winona going back and telling this story of what happened. And
Yeah.
and the thing about Edward is that he never grows old. So she grows older, he never does, and then they never have a chance to be together, and that just broke my heart.
Ugh, I know. It's like a beautiful but painful love story, and
Mhm.
in all of that, it's I for me, okay, I like one of my longest standing celebrity crushes was Johnny Depp. Put him as a pirate, make him into Edward
Girl, 21
Scissorhands,
Jump
like
Street, what? Come on.
like literally, give me a character. I'm like team Johnny all day. And Edward was probably my first Johnny crush, to be honest, which is like I've always said I've had eclectic taste, so clearly I do. Like a man with scissors, I'm all day. Let's go. But he was just so, I think, gentle, and it really made me think about what changes a person, right? And I remember like when Edward first comes into the town, and at first everyone's like fascinated with him. He's different. And in this like cookie cutter little town, there's this obsession with someone who's different. He's special, he's interesting. But the minute he no longer serves,
Their
the
purposes.
yes, their purposes, it's so quick to turn someone who's different into the villain, into the monster. And that part was like crazy for me to watch. And of course, like I think of all things diversity when I look at films. And I remember looking at this and I was like, okay, this is like all white cast, right? Um, but there was this one police officer I remember because
Was black.
Edward gets into some trouble who's black,
Yep.
and he was the only one who actually had
Empathy.
empathy for this character of like and I have to think this was really intentional, and this is where I give like hats off, beautiful direction in like bringing this dynamic in. But it was so crazy to see, the one black character identify this one, Edward Scissorhand unique character and say, hey, like, I see you, I'm worried about you, and I'm going to do my part to try to protect you. And I can't help but think that was an intentional decision in bringing in that character. I like to think so. I think it made the story feel more real in terms of who is empathizing with this outcast who's trying to protect him, and what does that look like. That was cool for me to see. It was
You
really
know
cool.
what? I never even thought about that until you brought it up.
Mm,
You're
yeah,
right. Never even thought about that. He was the only character that had any empathy for this person
yeah.
who was different because he's different.
Exactly. And that role easily could have been cast by, another white actor, but it was like, "No, I see you, man, like, I feel like you're not safe in this environment, so let me try to get you back up to your, like, spooky castle and tell him to get away," and yeah, that didn't work. Um, but it was yeah, it's a really sad story, but also just so beautiful, and I think it is a reminder to me that, despite, like, the chaos and despite the crazy and despite what, like, the masses of people are saying and how easy it is to believe what the masses are saying, it's important for us to actually connect with individuals on that one-to-one level. What's the heart telling us? What's the soul look like? Like, that's not something that mass culture or mass communication is necessarily gonna convey.
Absolutely. I totally agree with everything that you said. And we apparently have a theme because we, we apparently have a theme because all the movies that we have chosen, well, not all, two out of the three movies that we chose, the leads were dating each other. Johnny Depp and Winona Ryder were dating each other for this
Yes.
movie too.
Oh my gosh,
You didn't know
crazy.
that?
I did not things I wasn't paying attention to. Like, I literally will just watch the story and, like, get immersed. I do this to this day. Like, I'm the worst at even, like, celebrity spotting. Hell, I worked for the Academy and I couldn't recognize people half the time. But I get so focused on the actual story. I'm not necessarily thinking about, the personal dynamics or the person behind that. And, sometimes I should, but I had no idea, Carla. I'm like,
Yes,
that
the
is
only
a
reason I
vibe.
know listen, the only reason I know that is because I would watch Entertainment Tonight all the time, and they were always doing
There we go.
Entertainment Tonight does a lot of set visits. So I think
Yep.
one time they did a set visit and, talked about the fact when they were on the set visit that Winona and Johnny were dating each other because he had that
Mm.
either he had a tattoo that said Winona Forever or she had one.
Ooh,
He had a tattoo that said Winona Forever.
that feels like something Johnny would do. Oh, Johnny,
Of
such a character.
Oh my God, that's a whole, a whole nother discussion. 'Cause
Isn't it though?
he
Isn't
is,
it?
but
He is. He is. There's a lot there. Yes.
I love that we the three films that you chose and that I kind of co-signed on were films that all three of them have heart, all three of
Yes.
them have humanity.
Yes.
Two of them people were dating, and
Who
one of
knew?
them one of them, the late Martin Landau, he had been on the Mission Impossible television series for years, and we hadn't seen him on the small screen or the big screen in a really long time. Babs was kind of like
Mm.
his re-entry into the industry, and then he would later go on to win the Oscar for Ed Wood for playing Bela
Wow.
Lugosi and with Ed Wood, and then Natalie Desselle. Natalie Desselle, I'm an actress as well, and I would see Natalie Desselle on the audition circuit. When I tell
Wow.
you that doll was the nicest, kindest,
Oh,
sweetest human being on the face of the planet. She is no longer with us. She passed away from colon cancer either a few years back. But when I tell you, it breaks my heart to not be able to see what her career could have been because
yes.
was she was very much like Mickey. She had that heart and that
Yeah.
generosity, very
Yeah.
much like the character that she played in Baps. And then we would later see her on television in the sitcom Eve with the rapper Eve.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she was really sweet. So I didn't want the conversation with you to end without, pointing out that about Martin Landau and Natalie Desselle because they and one other shout out is to Debbie Morgan. Debbie
Mhm.
Morgan is another one. Excuse me, was an OG. She was on not General Hospital, All My Children for years.
Loved All My Children.
Years.
That was our show.
Listen, Angie and Jesse,
Yeah.
what? Angie and
That was
Jesse were
literally,
everything. Why are you playing?
oh
They
my
were
goodness.
Listen, they were everything. So to see her show, she was in Eve's Bayou. She played the mom in Eve's
Mhm.
Bayou opposite Samuel L. Jackson.
It's another
And
good
so to
one.
see her in Love and Basketball and to see her pop up every
Yeah.
once in a while is really great. I wish that we could see her more because she, in my opinion, she's one of the best actresses in the game. And I just don't understand why she doesn't have more opportunities because,
Ooh.
she's gorgeous, she's
Yeah.
kind, she acts her face off. Like I don't get it. But
I mean, Carla, that's a whole other conversation too. Opportunities, how that actually works in this mystical land of, entertainment and Hollywood. But I appreciate those notes. So you're such a wealth of knowledge too, Carla. Like every time I have a conversation with you, I feel like, yeah, it's gonna go one way. And then I walk away, I'm like, wow, like you wove this together and added in these notes that I think are so beautiful. And yeah,
because
thank you for
I
doing
am a
that.
big old movie nerd. I am a
I
movie
love it.
nerd. I
I
really
love
am.
it.
Like when I say that, I think because of the way I look, people don't believe me. You know what I mean?
Yes,
But
yes,
people that know me
yes.
to my core know that I am the biggest nerd walking. I
I
am the
love it.
worst.
I
I
love
just
it.
I just want to put this up that my friend said. He said he loves Natalie and I forgot that she was in
Mm,
Cinderella. She played one of the
yes,
stepsisters in Cinderella
yes,
too.
yes,
So thanks for bringing that
yes.
up. I loved her in Cinderella. She was great. She was just fabulous. Well, sis,
That was a good version.
I'm not gonna hold any more of your time. We didn't talk for a good 30 minutes, but
Yes,
I'm so glad that you finally made time for me and came on over here to say hi to a sister. I appreciate you. I do. We got to do
of
this again. This was
course.
fun.
It was. And Carla, thank you so much for the invitation. I love what you're doing. I love the way you approach film. So just thank you for being such a presence in this industry. So I appreciate it. The pleasure's mine, for real.
No, no problem. Tell everybody where they can find you and how they
Oh,
can support your
yes.
organization.
Oh my goodness, of course. We have exciting news coming up for with my publishing company. Elizabeth and Minnie is going to be the official new name. So more on that soon, but follow me most active on Instagram. You can find me at J to the Nell, JEA to the NELL. So yeah, find me there.
Yay. All right, girl. I don't mean to be rude, but I'm going to kick you out of the studio so you can disconnect. But thank you so
Yes.
much again for joining me. And after I get rid of Jeanell, literally, I'm going to get into these reviews and interviews. Okay. Bye, sis. I'll talk to
Amazing.
you soon.
Bye. Speak to you
Bye.
soon.
You guys, I loved having her. I loved having her on as a guest. She was great. That was Jeanell English. She's a former Academy member. And if you go to J to the Nell on Instagram, you can find out more about her there. So now let me get into some things I said I was going to get into. So the If movie opened a couple of days ago. It's from Paramount Pictures and it's written and directed by John Krasinski. It's starring Ryan Reynolds and Kaylee Fleming from the Walking Dead franchise. And after it's about imaginary friends. So after discovering, she can see Kaylee's character, after she discovers she can see everyone's imaginary friends, she embarks on this magical journey to reconnect forgotten ifs with their kids. This film is for anybody that is, it reminds you that no matter how old you get, you always will have a child's heart. There will always be a part of you that can relate to the things that and the magic that can relate to the magic and the wonderment that you had as a child that you will still have. So in accordance to that, I had an opportunity to talk to one of the film stars, Liza Colón Zayas, who is on The Bear, the hit show on the Bear. They've won 5,000 different Emmy Awards. And when I come back, I'll talk a little bit more about the film. And yeah, so take a look and listen to this interview with Liza. Hi, Liza.
Hello, Carla.
How you doing today?
Oh man, I'm cloud nine.
Oh, I bet you are. Girl, you are living your best life right now.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
I love that for you. I love that for you. So congratulations on all your accolades in regards to playing Tina on The Bear. That must be really awesome.
Thank you. It's a dream. It actually exceeds the dream. You know? And then with this is really it's a part two of the dream.
Exactly. You're in like this live animation film and dealing with imaginary friends. If you were going to teach your imaginary friend how to cook, what kind of meal would y'all have?
Something that I'm not good at making. Macaroni and cheese is one of my favorite things. So I feel like that would be fun to start off with, right?
Absolutely. And as a playwright, how would you take the premise of If and turn it into like a play or a musical?
Wow, that's a good question. I think it lends itself to musical, right?
It does.
When you all go see the movie on the big screen, you're gonna get, some lovely surprises in that area too.
Yeah. And girl, I was doing some digging around and found out you have a fear of karaoke. What's up with that?
Well, what happened was I went with a bunch of friends and they insisted we all go up and then they abandoned me up there. And the song had already started. The guy was like, you got it. And I was like, eh. And it was a song that I would never have sung. And then I was a little off key and somebody threw a lemon wedge at me. And then I started wilding. And then they let me leave the stage. And so
a lemon wedge.
Yes.
I bet you will be doing that no time soon, huh?
No. But it was, I'm glad I got to do it. for the show, and it helped. It was about stepping outside of your comfort zone, so it was good for me in that way.
I appreciate that about you. But it's my time. But before I go, I just wanted to tell you, as someone else who is 5'1" and a little on the chubby side, girl, do it for all of us, okay?
I will. I love the Curvy Critic title. Is so perfect. I felt immediately seen.
Thank you. And I see you as well, my sister. Take care.
Too.
Bye. And I love that she said she felt immediately seen through the Curvy Critic. Yes, I'm glad that you felt that way. Let's go into these comments in the chat because I haven't been in there, and Brandon has been in here to see me. He said he can't wait to see the Garfield movie. He heard it was good. It is good, I can report, because I saw it today, but the embargo lifts right now at 6 o'clock and I need to write it. So I'll talk about it next week, but I will have the review up in a minute. What else did you say to me? You said, yes, I am. You asked me if yes, I'm going to review it. I'm going to have the review up by tomorrow. And then you said that you wanted to watch, you have to watch it in its entirety. Yeah. Edward Scissorhands is a really great movie. You should definitely watch it. Oh no, that's not your friends. Friends don't abandon each other. Oh no. Okay, that's a whole nother conversation for another time. People take care, don't they though? People get hardcore in karaoke, and it's always the ones who can't really sing that be doing the most. Because I can sing, and the ones who can't sing, they be doing the most. And then when you show up at karaoke and you can actually sing, they be hating on you. It's terrible. But who I digress. Let's get into this film right here. So there's this documentary on HBO called Telemarketers. And I'll tell you this story. Well, I think I tell the story in the interview with them, but the people that call you all the time, the spam calls that you get all the time, well, they take it to a whole nother level. And I think it's about 3 or 4 episodes. It's streaming on HBO, but I had a chance to talk to the director and the producers of this film. And they have some really good things to share about some things that you guys need to watch out for. So I'm not going to talk. I'll just let them do the talking for me. So I know it took you guys almost 22 years to get this together. Why do you think it took that long?
It ended up taking us something like 20 years to get it done. But we talked about it before. We talk about it kind of all the time, but it feels like the story really wanted to be told. And I'm not a religious person, but I'm a spiritual person in some way. And I think a lot of people got screwed over in this scam, in the billions of dollars stolen in the name of good causes, from cancer to veterans. And really, a lot of people that didn't have money were taken advantage of, and it enriched a very small group of people. And I think karmically, this story wanted to be told. And that's the way we ended up getting together. Everything, the way it rolled out was just, I feel like it happened the way it was supposed to happen.
Definitely the way it was supposed to be. Yeah.
I think it was supposed to happen right now. I think had it been 10 years ago, had it been 15 years ago, had it even been a year after you were like, I got to do this, I don't think it would have resonated as strongly as it's resonating now. Because I saw this documentary last fall, I believe, sometime. Last fall. Late summer, August. Early fall is when I saw it.
August was released. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was riveted because I thought, I hope that so many people, and I talked about it all the time. And I was like, I hope so many people see it, because it is, I feel like it's necessary viewing, just to save people from themselves, because inherently human beings are trusting, right? And so when someone calls you and they say, we need this money for this reason, and it kind of tugs at your heartstrings, or the fear element is brought in, your normal human reaction is to just to react without thinking. You sit back and you don't have the wherewithal to have common sense in those moments. You just react.
Yeah.
That's
And
how we're programmed. Yeah.
yeah,
There's actually just read a great, incredible book about that by Daniel Kahneman called Thinking Fast and Slow.
ooh,
Check that out because that's exactly what that book's about.
Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel. What was his last name again?
Daniel Kahneman. With a
Kahneman.
K.
Okay, I'm gonna check that out because I trust you guys now.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, looking back on this, do you think there's any remorse regarding all of the lives that got scammed along the way?
You would hope there would be, but from what we've heard through the grapevine from the owners of the companies, who we reached out to all of them for comment, and we did our due diligence, and they all said no, or they just completely ignored us. From what we've heard, they're not remorseful at all. They don't feel like they did anything wrong.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's sad to say, but I don't know. You'd think they would. You'd think they would have a little bit of remorse, but no, nothing.
One thing I think is really interesting is like that I think we did our due diligence, really went research super well, and the fact that the police unions that are still using this form of fundraising.
Oh, they call me all the time.
Still doing it.
Yeah, and there's been no statement, nothing. They just ignored it, radio silence, hope it goes away. Hey, no one will talk about this in 2 years. I mean, there's still, they haven't said anything, and they're still doing it. And this is the biggest police union in the United States, in the world actually, that's involved in this wild scam.
Well, we heard also, I forget who told us this, but they talked to one of the police chiefs in one of the states, and he was like, that documentary is messing things up for us so bad. Like every time we call now, people are like, I saw the documentary, I'm not giving to you, I'm hanging up the phone. So we've had an effect. But they're still not giving up, which is very disappointing. You would think they would just stop this scam and find other ways of raising money. And by the way, don't we pay the police with our tax dollars? Why do they need to raise money? Like
that part.
I'd rather donate my money to teachers.
Yeah.
Or you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not like police. We give so much of our money to them for tax dollars. Like we're not trying to give them any more money so they can go like pay for their fishing trips and their bowling trips and I don't know.
Let me just in wrapping it up, let me just ask you, it feels like no matter how many times you whack the mole, it keeps coming back. What kind of advice would you want to give people to try to cut this off at its knees, so to speak? I know that it never will really completely cease to exist. There will always be some type of form of it because there's always somebody out there with shenanigans trying to scam someone. But in your humble opinions, how do you think that we can just, stop whacking the mole?
I think just hang up the phone and also educate the elderly, your grandparents, your neighbor, and sit them down and say, hey, this is happening. If someone calls about this, like, grandma, like, stop donating. Don't give. And, because they're the target. They're sitting at home during the day
watching QVC,
and they have money to burn, even if it's like just their cigarette money, which is the saddest part, because it's a lot of the people getting scammed aren't rich. They're working class, grandparents sitting at home. And so educate them, talk to them about these scams.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, education is hang up. And I think, what we can do as a society is if we can just start, continue to hold these major police organizations that essentially control. It is the ruling, the top most powerful police officials that are connected to this. So I think holding them accountable and holding our representatives accountable, and then not to promote I love it's our film, but actually we really do try and strive to educate people through the film. So I think watching the film is actually important because you can learn the ins and outs of the scam. And now people are messaging us all the time saying, "Oh, I just got that call yesterday. Oh, the cops was that you that called? It sounded like your voice." And so yeah, that's education, and hopefully, we can. I know we definitely had an effect on the scam, and less people are giving than they were before. But let's just continue that education. And yeah, if you get the call for any of these things, any type of your computer virus, the IRS, the CIA, whatever it is, hang up. And if you have a question, ask a family member, ask a few people, get a second opinion. Never give a gift card, because that's how they get you a lot these days. They say, "Hey, go to Walmart, put it on on a gift card or whatever, and send me the gift card number." So.
Oh, now that I didn't know. That was one that I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
they
Sam and
gift card, so be careful about the gift card scam.
oh, thank you for that intel, because honey, I truly didn't know that. I knew everything else, but I didn't know this. Sam and Adam, let me just tell y'all, first of all, congratulations on your Critics' Choice Award that you won last year.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And let me thank you both for making this documentary and helping people to see the light, so to speak, because people work hard for their money, especially seniors. They've worked their whole lives to be able to just sit and kick it back. And it's unfortunate that people out there are taking advantage of that. So thank you for bringing this to the masses and bringing it to people's attention, especially mine, because I saw it before it happened with my mom. And had I not seen it, I wouldn't have known what to do.
Oh, wow. It means a lot. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So I want to thank Sam Lipman Stern and Adam Biatalo. They are cousins, actually, and they produced and directed this film. If you have not seen Telemarketers, I highly, highly, highly suggest that you check it out and tell someone that you know. I'm going to go to the comments real quick. Telemarketers be thinking you own them. Yeah, they do. And they be coming at you like it's their money. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is why I don't answer. If so this is you can block the numbers, and you can get on the do not call registry. That'll help with that as well. And I'm glad people are watching the documentary. Yeah, I hope that they do watch the documentary, because it is very, very in terms of it also. In terms of it being educational and informative, it is all of those things. So I usually start the show out with what I did the week before and that kind of thing, but I didn't. But I want to remind you what happened last week real quick before, and I'll give you the news items too. So last week I went live early on Friday, and that same day, around the same time I was broadcasting, one of our founding members of the Critics' Choice Association, Sam Rubin, unexpectedly died from a heart attack that day. So I just wanted to give him a shout out and send my best to his family and his friends and his colleagues. He was a really nice man. He'd been in the entertainment journalism business for over 30 years, and he was a very integral part to the Critics' Choice Association, of which I'm a member. So I wanted to give him a shout out. A couple of nights ago, I went to the premiere of Young Woman and the Sea, which I'll be doing a review of in the next couple of weeks. It is about the first woman who crossed the English Channel from France to England. Her name is Trudy Ederle. And ironically enough, I ran into this woman while I was there. So if you don't recognize who this is Diana Nyad. There was a film made about her that was streaming on Netflix last year, in which Annette Bening starred as Diana and played her in the film. But Diana Nyad is fierce, and I had the best conversation with her. It was everything. Also, I am going to be moderating a discussion on this. If you're in Los Angeles tomorrow night, I am moderating a discussion about this documentary called Queens. And we'll be doing it here in Los Angeles, and it's going to be produced by Film Independent. So if you go to the Film Independent website, you can see everything about that. When I come back next week, we're going to talk about the Beach Boys documentary, which is going to be streaming on Disney Plus. We're going to review Hitman. We're going to review Atlas. I'm going to talk about the Garfield movie. I'm going to talk about another documentary called Queen of the Deuce. That one is a trip, honey. And then, of course, we're going to hit Furiosa. I wanted to do Furiosa today, but I knew in talking to Jeanell, I wasn't going to have enough time. But we will talk about Furiosa next week. And I also want to show you the pictures of these films that we were talking about. So this is Baps with Halle Berry and Natalie Desselle. This is Love and Basketball with Sanaa Lathan and Omar Epps. And this is Edward Scissorhands. Those are the three films that my good girlfriend Jeanell English and I talked about. Please go to her Instagram, J to the Nail, and check out everything she's doing. She's really smart. She's really savvy. And she's all about making sure that diversity stays in Hollywood. Before I get out of here, I'm going to give you guys a little around the curve. Let's take a trip around the curve. Despite being up for 4 acting category awards, The Crown's final season on Netflix left the BAFTA TV Awards empty-handed last weekend. Jeff Bridges, Dave Bautista, Bryan Cranston, Sam Elliott, and more are set for a live-action Grendel movie. Iman Walker exits Chicago Fire as a series regular after 12 seasons. Tim Meadows, Jabuki Young White, Jamila Rosamond, Jason Lee round out the cast of Michael Gondry Pharrell Williams musical. Steve McQueen's treasure hunt project Yucatan has been revived. Produced by Robert Downey Jr., the post-apocalyptic horror franchise 28 years later is clawing its way back in June 2025. Lauren Graham and Aisling Franciosa are starring opposite Dylan O'Brien and James Sweeney in the Three-Point Capital David Permit Twinless. Angela Ali and Tom Hardy are set for the New York crime thriller 77 Blackout. Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis sells to major international buyers ahead of Cannes and premiered on May 16th. Natalie Portman joins the voice cast of Hugo Benview's rainbow fantasy Arco. Ed Harris is set to direct Bill Murray in a crime thriller, The Plowman. George Clooney is making his Broadway debut in Good Night and Good Luck, the stage adaptation later next year. Plan B Entertainment acquires rights to Molly Manning Walker's original feature film project, and a new Barbarella movie starring Sydney Sweeney eyes Jane and Honey Goldman to co-write with Edgar Wright, who is in talks to direct. Ava DuVernay's Array releasing partners with Mansa streaming service to distribute select film and TV titles. Aquafina, Henry Golden, Florence Pugh, Issa Rae, James Martin, and Justin Theroux join the film No Taste Like Home. James Franco and Tommy Lee Jones team for the action thriller The Razor's Edge. Andrew Garfield is set to star opposite Julia Roberts in Luca Guadagnino's thriller After the Hunt. Tomb Raider from Phoebe Waller-Bridge lands a series order at Amazon. Roadhouse sequel is coming, y'all, and it's moving forward at Amazon MGM Studios with Jake Gyllenhaal set to return. Darren Criss is returning to Broadway with Helen J. Shaw in a new musical, Maybe Happy Ending. Baby Reindeer, Ripley, The Curse, Shogun are among the nominees for the inaugural Gotham TV Awards set for June 4th in New York. Legally Blonde prequel series Elle is ordered by Amazon from Reese Witherspoon's Hello Sunshine. Anthony Hopkins is set to star in Nick Cassavetes' Bruno Penguin and the Staten Island Princess. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow is from James Gunn and Peter Safran's DC Studios gets a summer 2026 release. Sony Pictures Classic acquires the first authorized Led Zeppelin doc, Becoming Led Zeppelin, and Jodie Comer is set to star in Kenneth Branagh's The Last Disturbance of Madeline Hind. Kristen Dunst and Daniel Bruhl join Keanu Reeves in Ruben Östlund's The Entertainment System is Down. Donnie Yen is set to reprise as John Wick Chapter 4's blind assassin Kane in a standalone Lionsgate film. Death Becomes Her musical is set this fall for Broadway opening. The Fantastic Four, Natasha Lyonne is the latest to join that ensemble of the Marvel Studios movie. Radhika Apte, Naveen Andrews, and Ken Leung join Justin Lin's Last Days. Raven's Home gets a spin-off pilot under Raven-Symoné's deal with Disney-branded television as the series ends after 6 seasons. Laura Dern and Margaret Qualley set to star in Forever Interrupted limited series and works at Netflix from A24. Demi Moore's The Substance world premiere gets a 13-minute standing ovation at Cannes, and Kevin Costner's Horizon American Saga gets an 11-minute ovation at the Cannes Film Festival, and Amelia Perez, starring Zoe Saldana and Selena Gomez, stars an 11-minute ovation at the Cannes Film Festival. They love them standing ovations. Today, I'm joined by former Academy exec Jeanell English, where we're going to chat about throwbacks on Edward Scissorhands, Love and Basketball, and Baps. Plus, I have interviews with the director and the producers of HBO's Telemarketers documentary, and the Bears' Liza Colón Zayas, who stars in the hit film If, is coming up now on The Curvy Critic. All right, you guys, that does it. I just wanted to give you one little piece of info. I always talk about what I did before. So last night, I went to see my friend Lillias White, who is on the right of your screen. She is the Tony Award winner for a Broadway musical called The Life, in which she starred, and I was her understudy. And to our left is Seth Rudetsky, who has a hit series on Sirius Radio, where he talks all about theater from every aspect, honey, from the music to being an understudy to everything. But the two of them were in town last night in Orange County playing the Segerstrom Performing Center for the Arts, and I went out there to see my good girlfriend Lilia. So if this is your first time joining me, please give me a big thumbs up if you are on YouTube to let me know that you were here. Click the bell for notifications if you are on YouTube. If you are watching this via LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, or any other streaming services, please do yourselves a favor and say hello to a sister. Subscribe to the channel, because you never know who you might see here or who I might be talking to, like today when I spoke to Jeanell English. Thank you so much once again for popping by. I appreciate you. I adore you. I think there was one more comment. No, there aren't any more comments. But I did want to thank Brandon and Sav Productions for popping in and having a very lively discussion during this podcast. You can check all of the video interviews in their entirety on my YouTube channel, along with some other interviews and other episodes of The Curvy Film Critic. You can also check out the written versions of anything that I write at thecurvyfilmcritic.com, thecurvyfilmcritic.com. I already did the reviews for Furiosa and a couple of other films, so you can pop over there and watch those there. So having said all of that, take it light, have a beautiful, blessed week, and I will catch y'all on the flip side. Bye.